We made this.
Hello and welcome to Chucky Vision, the podcast about child's play and Chucky here on the We Made This podcast network. My name is Mark Adams and I am your host. And with me at this time is my co-host. It's Dev. Hello, Dev.
Hey, Mark. We're going on vacation.
Yes, we are. We're going on vacation abroad on holiday, but also into other horror franchises as well, because we're doing a little bit of a weird little compilation episode looking at some odd little shorts that feature Chucky and its characters. So we're going to have a look at Chucky's Vacation Slide, which was a DVD extra on Seed of Chucky, but we're also going to look at the promotional campaigns for, I think it was Cult of Chucky, wasn't it?
It was Curse of Chucky.
Curse of Chucky, that had Chucky invading The Purge, Psycho, Mama, and Drag Me to Hell. And if that's not enough, we're also going to have a look at the behind-the-scenes stuff for Invades, and also at Chucky versus Michael Myers, which was a promotion for Halloween Kills. So lots of little weird and wonderful shorts featuring our favourite killer doll.
Yeah, it's an odd one. We've covered Chucky and we've covered not Chucky, and this is the best of both.
It's certainly both. But we thought we'd cobble them all together as one maybe 45 minute episode rather than doing tiny little pokey episodes, because I don't feel like brevity has ever really been our strongest point. And for us to then put out a 10-minute episode, people would be like, what? So we're kind of cobbling them all together as one big kind of collection. So are you ready to chat about these weird and wonderful oddities, Dev?
I am, and oddity is a good choice of words, because it's all of this is pretty odd.
So first up, we're going to have a look at Chucky's Vacation Slides, which, like I said earlier, it was a extra, like a DVD vignette, featurette, whatever, on the Seed of Chucky DVD. And the essential storyline is the family, which is Chucky and Tiffany and Glenn/Glenda, are sat down having a look at their vacation slides. And I'm old enough to remember actual vacation slides. Have you ever had the horror that is sitting down with one of those fucking donut things full of slides with someone who is incredibly dull going through their holiday with their little clicker, and inevitably something goes upside down and everything goes wrong, they can't focus the fucking projector? Have you ever actually had to deal with that, youngster Dev?
I honestly thought that only happened in American TV shows. I didn't think we even did that over here in Britain.
Oh yeah. I'm just old, and you have dodged that bullet by the sounds of things, and I wish I had.
Well, yeah, I remember taking, actual photos, not on your phone, but actual photos that you got developed. I remember that, but we never put them into a projector.
Well, then you are fortunate. My dad took it even further when he got a damn camcorder, and he spent his entire holiday with the camcorder up against his eye, narrating his holidays so that we could watch it back. And I spent years avoiding my dad's camcorder narration. And he eventually worked out that I was never going to watch them. And he was quite cross with me, but life's too short, man. And this starts with Chucky basically expressing a very similar opinion to me that fucking hell, vacation slides are the worst experience. It is like 3 hours of your life you ain't gonna get back. And I just think Chucky's right about vacation slides, whereas Tiffany and Glenda, they're kind of like naive optimists about it, which is very on brand.
I guess maybe because I don't have the first-hand experience. As a DVD extra, you struggle to even describe what this was exactly. I'm kind of on Chucky's point that I don't know why this exists. It's fun, but this is such an odd little 3-minute video because we'll get into some of the slides, but the slides start with like a behind the scenes photo, and I thought, this is a really clever wraparound. This is a really fun way to show behind the scenes stuff. But then that's the only behind the scenes photo, and the rest is just a weird meta sort of in canon joke. It doesn't really go anywhere.
I think what it does show is, because there's literally been no other DVD extras on any of the other films other than this, I think it shows how much they actually liked and were looking forward to doing Seed of Chucky and having Chucky have a kid. They invested in an extra thing that, cost more money. And I think it's almost like a snapshot of before the fall in a lot of ways. That they recorded this expecting Seed of Chucky to do well, and everyone fucking hated it.
That is a good point in context there in time. Because not just money, but I mean, it takes like 4 or 5 people to animate like just one of these dolls, and they've got Chucky, Tiffany, and Glenn all talking here, and they're not the most emotive here than they are in the movies, but still. Yeah, it's a labor in actual participation and effort to do this.
I genuinely enjoyed this. It was very, very silly and also very kind of on brand for the way the Chucky films had kind of headed since Bride of Chucky at this point. I think this is really good.
Don't get my criticisms that I'm hung up on this. I mean, it's a 3-minute DVD extra. Like, I can take it or leave it. It is fun that it exists. I imagine just in context, it kind of makes me think of the Final Destination 3 DVD that they recorded.
Right.
Like, they recorded a bunch of extra things during the movie, so you could like choose your own. It was like a choose your own adventure film. They turned it into on the DVD, so you could like change something.
Right.
And then someone might not die.
That's incredibly cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool. That's a really cool DVD. That one, but it made me think. Yeah, like this point in time, the mid 2000s, that I guess they did this because, like, I don't know, people are really pushing DVDs and DVD extras around this time, and that has kind of fallen by the wayside these days, hasn't it?
It does feel like that, but the Chucky DVDs never really had very much extra, so this did stick out. But I think what it also did was very much stick with the themes of the film. It still touches on the theme of addiction and getting caught out when you've relapsed. I think for a 3-minute thing, it's actually got a lot of thought in it. And Chucky gets caught after he's relapsed again, and I think it's really clever. That's not the only thing as well.
I don't know if it quite fits canon. It fits the characters and what they're going through in the movie. I just wish maybe they could have, like, I don't know, squeezed it in as this could have happened at some point. Because the way they talk about stuff like Chucky's addiction and, well, I mean, we'll get to the slides. I mean, they go all over America and they do not in the movie.
Yeah, we'll look at the slides in a bit, but you're right, it can't really comfortably fit canon because of the ending where, well, everybody's dead.
Yeah, so it doesn't. It's not really part of the film, which again adds to this weird element of the fact that it sticks out. It's just a strange
Yeah,
oddity on itself.
yeah. But again, still at least fitting with the themes
Yeah.
and the discussion points of the film. Glenda's transition here is still about Chucky and Tiffany. They don't make it about Glenn/Glenda. And it just reinforces the no wonder that they're fucked up. You know, their parents have completely fucked them up by not giving them the kind of support that they need. And again, 3 minutes, and they still managed to get that in as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you when you talked about the enthusiasm behind this. It did seem like if this film was more, like this shows that if the film was more well received, that they absolutely would have done a sequel much closer to Seed.
Yeah, I think so. And I think they would have done a sequel that continued along the same vibe as Seed and Bride rather than the significant change that they had. I mean, we called it a return to its roots in a lot of ways when they moved on to Curse of Chucky. So, yeah, I think the optimism shines through in a weird way as well.
Well, let's get into some of these slides then, because like like Chucky demands, quote unquote, we're making people sit through this shit. He wants to get on with
So,
it.
so I want to talk to you about this because they're all clearly superimposed, and even for the time scale of when they were made, they look shonky. And I think I just want to know whether it's what could be a number of things. It could be that it's just cheap and they put together something cheap and it wasn't supposed to look shonky, or it's deliberately shonky to make it look fake, and Tiffany has made this all up in her head. Which do you think it is?
Well, that's a wild fan theory, and I'm eager to follow that. I would definitely say it works for this as an extra, that it's deliberately campy and fake looking. But then I don't know. You see this in other Hollywood doesn't seem to understand Photoshop. Like they've made all these massive leaps in digital technology, like you see in all the MCU movies with fake faces making people look young and stuff. And yet you watch a movie like we watched The Boy, and I think it's in The Boy 2. There's a family photo of Katie Holmes and the husband and the kid, and it just looks awful. Like it's clearly three separate photos of the actors, like just stuck together. And you see that in so many films, like modern films. And I don't understand why these movie productions can't get anyone good at Photoshop.
It does seem utterly bizarre that you can find people on the internet that will do a good Photoshop in an hour for free because lol. And then you get these stuff in films that isn't even as good a quality as that.
Yeah, I think if they asked someone online, hey, can you Photoshop Chucky and the gang into California or Texas or wherever they go, then someone online could probably make it look like those dolls were actually there. But I agree with you. I think the fakeness of it really does suit this, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I just wonder whether it was supposed to look fake or not, because either works. They've come up with this fantasy because, well, you know, they're all clearly insane. They've come up with this fantasy, or it's just poor quality, but doesn't matter because it's a Chucky film. I don't know. I quite like the idea that they've all come up with this fantasy together as a kind of like fucked up family thing that they're showing us, and it's all lies.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, but especially since we'll get it when we get into it. The slides then end up causing arguments.
Indeed. The one thing I loved about it, and you know, a lot of people are like this, and I can be guilty of this too, is they go to all these wonderful, wonderful places, and Chucky's favourite is a giant twine ball. And I can be very much like that. We had an absolutely lovely holiday in Benidorm recently, and my favourite moment was when we went to see Star Sex. Star Sex is two people Darth Vader and Princess Leia on Segways in a live sex show.
Okay.
We saw all these beautiful beaches. We had incredible food, but my highlight was going to see a ridiculous sex show in a grotty nightclub. I'm a weird, weird man.
Was this in the extended canon?
Well, so Darth does fuck Princess Leia, so I really hope it's not in the extended canon, because that's incest. And we were expecting like this naughty little show, a little bit cheeky, a little bit naughty, a little bit suggestive. Oh no, fully penetrative, vaginal and anal, unprotected sex on the dance floor of a nightclub on a Tuesday evening.
Well, it was a long, long time ago. It was different back then.
I don't think Benidorm's changed in 40 years, but anyway, I digress. What I'm getting at is your memories. You see all these incredible things, but you pick the one tiny little thing that you like the most, and it's quite kind of innocuous. And I love that even in this 3 minutes thing, there's actually clearly been a lot of thought that's gone into how the characters would behave around some holiday slides.
Yeah, as you said, we got the big ball of twine, the world's largest ball of twine. And Chucky is strangely enamored by that. Although then he goes into a spiel about how twine can be used in so many ways to kill people.
True. So do you want to go through all the places they've been to, Dev? Because you're obviously more interested in that than the twine, whereas I'm focused on the twine. I'm a bit like Chucky.
Well, that was a very specific thing, the twine. The other places are very much the big sites that everyone goes to. We have like New York City, we've got the Grand Canyon. I say the Grand Canyon, I forget where that is, but we've got San Francisco.
Near Las Vegas, I think, isn't it, the Grand Canyon?
Maybe. We've got San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, they're pretty generic sites, but then I guess that just fits with what we were talking about, the Photoshop, that these are probably just free images that they could get off the internet.
Yeah, and when you think about it, all these places, we've discussed how huge America is compared to Britain before. All these places are thousands and thousands and thousands of miles apart as well. It's not like, I don't know, hopping from Manchester to London. That's a 4.5, 5 hour journey. These places are days apart if you're driving, or they are a flight if you're not. And America's weird, man.
Yeah, there was a whole movie about Chucky and Tiffany trying to get just across New Jersey.
Exactly.
And yet, it was so easy for them to get across the whole country. I mean, there seems to be a weird, I guess, just to make it work. Like, people seem to be more accepting of these dolls in this short. There always seems to be someone holding the camera taking these photos. And then we'll get to it, but there is a pizza delivery man who does not blink at Chucky. Like,
no.
Everyone seems much more accepting of these guys.
Yeah. It's an odd little thing, but I'll be damned if I didn't have 3 minutes of fun.
And also, it doesn't help that these people are so accepting of the dolls, because in all of these photos, Chucky has murdered someone.
It's true.
Which is not much better done in Photoshop. It's very oddly done. You rarely see anyone... In most of these movies, Chucky just goes around stabbing people, or stabbing people with various instruments. And all of the deaths in these photos seem to just be like severed limbs in just pools of blood. What is he doing to these people?
I mean... Oh, dear. If you haven't watched it, you should damn well watch Vacation Slides. It's weird and it's fun.
And then, yes, it does end with Chucky murdering someone. Off screen, but he manages to murder someone.
Good for Chucky. Keep that addiction. Do you want to move on to the Invade stuff?
Right, yes. This was in 2013 for Curse of Chucky. And it's strange because we talked about the transition from Seed to Curse, how Curse was treated as essentially a soft reboot. Obviously, there's a twist in the movie that reveals that it's all canon. But
Yeah.
when people went into the movie, it was like it looked like a new Chucky doll. It didn't have Andy or anyone, so people felt that it was new. And then it was also tonally a bit more darker and more serious. But then this marketing campaign is also very goofy.
Yeah. So it does indeed invade 4 different franchises, only 3 of which I've seen. The Purge, Psycho, Mama, and Drag Me to Hell. We'll look at The Purge first, because that was the first one on the YouTube playlist that you sent me. We'll put that on our Twitter so that other people can follow along as well. They're all obviously free to watch online because they were adverts. So no problems there. My very first observation was, have you seen the Owl Kitty videos?
Why does that ring a bell? It rings a bell, but I can't. Remind me.
So Owl Kitty is a lady with her cat called Owl Kitty, and they have a green screen, and they basically superimpose their cat on famous films.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you've probably seen the one where they replace the raptor in Jurassic Park with a cat.
Yeah.
And that's Owl Kitty. And that's fan-made stuff. I mean, admittedly, you know, as they've got more famous on YouTube and they've got some revenue from it, they've invested to be able to improve. But it is basically amateur stuff. It's not studio stuff. And Owl Kitty is better.
Yeah, I noted. Yeah, so we talked about Photoshop and stuff. The green screen work in this is not great.
No.
It does not help, especially in this first one, in The Purge, that movie is very dark, and they shot Chucky on the green screen very brightly, and then had to digitally darken that. And he does not... him in shadows does not fit in the shadows of the scenes at all.
No. So I don't think it would have mattered that it was poor quality had it been tonally similar to Bride and or Seed. But Curse was much, much darker, and this almost feels incongruous for what they were trying to do with the soft reboot that you talked about earlier. And what were they? It just feels slightly like they've missed the point.
Yeah, it is tonally incongruous because, like, he's cracking jokes, he's laughing. This is the Chucky we know, and that Chucky certainly is in Curse. But, like, again, part of the reveal of that movie is, oh, this is a new Chucky. But then it's slowly unveiled that no, this is the old Chucky that we all know and love. It's almost, I guess, like quasi spoilers that we're still going to get the Chucky we know.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. And the other thing, before we actually look at each specific video that I was pissed off about, did you resent the fact that there were YouTube ads for what's essentially a fucking ad? That just feels a little bit much to me, that you're watching a trailer and there's an ad before the fucking trailer. Come on now. Maybe I'm out of touch because, you know, when a Marvel trailer drops, for example, that's a massive deal and everyone rushes to watch it. So maybe that's where the money is. An ad for an ad. Fuck me.
Well, they're always mixing ads and trailers today. Have you seen those weird Tide things with Doctor Strange?
Tide? Isn't that
Yeah, the detergent. Yeah, there's a weird mini campaign I saw of, like, the one I saw was David Harbour, like the actor, not in character as the guy from Black Widow, but just David Harbour. And he's doing his washing, and he's talking to the camera like, yeah, I use Tide, it's great. And you see the Tide ball in the background. And then the little Doctor Strange portal opens, and a hand comes out and grabs the Tide. And then David Harbour turns around to get it, and it's gone. And he's like, that's strange. And then it comes up like, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
It's so... Do they need more money? Have they not got enough?
That's naff. No, I've not seen that. For goodness sake. Right, anyway, well, we're going to move on and we talk about Chucky Invades the Purge. And it starts with a jump scare, which to me was kind of cool. It was a nice touch that highlighted something that is universal across all horror franchises, be it The Purge, be it Chucky, or be it Nightmare on Elm Street, or anything else that you might think of. A jump scare is something that is consistent across everything since Jaws.
Yeah, that is strange. Yeah. Not to say there aren't other highlights in this campaign, but that is maybe the highlight that, for some, even though after the first one I knew they were going to do it for all of them, that got me every time. Just because it's so loud and so sudden. But yeah, that is quite clever. I like that.
So I think there was some thought that went into this, even if there was fuck all budget. My first note on The Purge is Ethan Hawke love heart, because, oh my goodness, Ethan Hawke is an attractive man. I'd forgotten he was in the first Purge film, because there's so many of them, and not many of them are any good. And, you've got What's-Her-Face from Game of Thrones, and Ethan Hawke, both of them being incredibly attractive. And then Chucky turns up, I mean, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I love both those actors. And that is... But that is a very boring film.
I liked the first one.
But I think the sequels are better.
Really?
I think they just get to the point of it. That it's, they go into the streets. Some of the sequels get super, maybe overly political. But I just feel like they just get into, it's kind of like Chucky, I know the first Child's Play film is great and one of the best, but it's kind of like that where you want to go into it for Chucky and then half the movie isn't Chucky, whereas the sequels are all Chucky. It's kind of like that of The Purge. In the first Purge, you're just waiting for the actual Purge stuff to start.
Well, I think you clearly have different tastes in horror to me then, because that's why I like the Purge film rather than going straight into it like the sequels do. But I say that. I think the comparison of Child's Play and Child's Play 2 is a strong one, but for me, it was the character that was highlighted in the second one as opposed to the politics, which is in the Purge. So I don't feel like it's a fair comparison, but I absolutely get why you prefer the sequels for exactly the same reason, but flipping it that I prefer the original Purge.
Well, I also like the character in the sequels, the Frank Grillo guy, because it's not really a detailed character. He is basically just the Punisher in those movies.
And there's strength in the Punisher kind of trope, isn't there?
But what exactly does Chucky do? Does Chucky kill anyone in this? I'm trying to remember.
No.
Did they edit in a way that he actually does kill Ethan or Lena?
It immediately stuck out that they didn't film anything new for these invades. It was also superimposing Chucky into previously filmed scenes. And no, I don't. Did he kill anyone or did he just scare people? I just wrote, holy shit, The Purge is 10 years old in my notes as well. Because that kind of made me feel really old. I thought The Purge was quite a new franchise, but it's not.
It's just always in the purview, isn't it? There's always a new one.
But I think what's fascinating is, whereas it does push both films, that thematically, particularly the first Purge, is completely different to Chucky. And did it do either of the franchises any good?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of these movies are quite new to when they did this, 2013. It definitely felt more like, and we should point out, I'm certain all four of these movies are Universal, which is why they did this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It did seem like, because Psycho is an older movie, it just seemed like, hey, all these end with Curse of Chucky now out on DVD. So I guess this is pretty much just, hey, if you're going to buy Curse of Chucky on DVD, we've got other horror movies on DVD.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Psycho, which is more inventive.
Yeah, and I liked black and white Chucky. I thought that was a nice touch that they picked a black and white film and then they put Chucky in black and white for the first time. And yeah, It did, however, highlight just how bad the green screen was by changing him to black and white, unfortunately.
Also, just how awkward he is put into the scene.
Mm.
At no point did it really feel like he was there.
No, but I think this one was my favourite for the simple reason the other ones were silly or made no sense or just kind of like dropped Chucky in. Whereas this one, if you watch it in a certain way, it changes the plot of Psycho and makes Chucky the antagonist, and it makes Norman Bates a victim. And that's really fucking clever. I really liked that. I thought that was such a nice touch that in, just over a minute, they could completely fuck with the Psycho plot. And I thought that was exceptionally well thought out, really clever.
And they do make use of a number of lines from Curse where he talks about Mika's mother, but then they change the context where he's talking about Norman's mother. And that was clever. Yeah. That was clever.
I think, ignoring the budget and the bad green screen, this is by far the most sophisticated, the most well thought out, and the cleverest. And I would have maybe even dumped the rest of them and just kept this as a fun little DVD extra.
Yeah, it felt very odd. I mean, Psycho is a classic, and you could have done something there with Chucky invading the classics. But then the other ones, because they're more modern, just feel like really transparently just, hey, this movie's on DVD, go buy it.
Yeah. This one I actually genuinely liked and thought was an exceptional piece of intelligent meta filmmaking for the fans. I really liked the Psycho one. It was by far the best one, in my opinion.
Also, the shower scene has been parodied so many times, even in Seed of Chucky, I think. Yeah, they open the film with Glenn doing that.
But that's why I like this, because of the thought that went into changing the plot, changing who was the bad guy. And it's not just a parody. There's been some real kind of intelligent thinking dropped in there, which I didn't expect.
Yeah. And then the next one is maybe the worst.
What, Mama? So, full disclosure, I have not seen Mama.
It's good.
And what was originally under the bed, Dev?
The quote unquote monster. Well, yeah, there is a monster, yeah, but yeah, the monster. They do a pretty good job of cutting out the monster, because if I remember right, the monster is much bigger. So they managed to cut all of that out cleanly, because Chucky is much smaller.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I did put in my notes that it felt like the superimposition in this one was the best of the four.
But then it is also the shortest, by far.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, this one was the one that felt the most cheap and highlighted the low budget of the current run of Chucky films. Whereas Cult itself managed to hide that they got a minuscule budget by some clever editing and directing. This just felt really crap.
Yeah, it's very unimaginative. Like, Chucky is under the bed, he climbs up on the bed, and then Jessica Chastain lets out a very stock scream, which, let me tell you, since you haven't seen the movie, absolutely that is not the scream they use in the movie.
Okay, so they could have used the Wilhelm scream, and that would have made it more funny.
No, this is, a very stock one. It's not the Wilhelm one, but this is like a classic stock woman scream. And no, I don't remember exactly how it sounds in the movie, but I'm pretty sure they actually used Jessica Chastain screaming.
I mean, I guess coming at it from it wasn't a film I'd seen or had an opinion of. Perhaps I was always going to like it the least, but I think from what you've said, it is also the laziest when you compare to the thought that went into the Psycho one.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those films kind of like The Purge, even more so than The Purge, where it doesn't feel like Mama is not a slasher movie or even a horror movie. I know I said The Monster, but it's more closer to like The Boy or The Others. It's kind of like a slow gothic horror. So it doesn't feel, it's nothing like the Chucky films.
Right. I mean, for me, this is something that's just popped into my head as we've been talking. Seeing as Chucky has invaded these films, if we're struggling for specials between series 2 and 3, we could look at The Purge, Psycho, Mama, and Drag Me to Hell on this podcast, couldn't we?
We could. I mean, they are. Yeah, I wouldn't say any of the movies are bad. Yeah, they're fun watches.
And I mean, if he cameos in Ready Player One, technically we can watch that as well.
Oh God!
But let's hope we don't end up being that desperate. Let's hope that the Chucky telly series lasts forever and ever and ever. But no, I think it'd be quite fun to do Mama as a first watch for me if we do decide to do that. Whereas the other three, obviously, I've seen them more than once, all of them. Whereas Mama, I'd never even heard of it until we started looking at this.
No, it's good. It's I'm gonna say, yeah, it's not directed by. It's one of those movies where everyone thinks it is, but it's produced by Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Oh, let's move on to the last one, Drag Me to Hell.
So I love Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Nasty, nasty film. And even before I watched it, I think because, again, it was prejudiced that I didn't want Chucky in the Drag Me to Hell world. It felt like it would cheapen it. And I fucking love Chucky. It just felt like this one in particular was the worst combo.
Okay.
But as soon as I went in, I immediately thought, okay, that's clever because murdering someone from the backseat of a car is a nod to Child's Play 2. So someone had spotted that they had that in both films.
And Child's Play,
which I think is right nice.
Remember when he attacks Mike Norris?
That's true. Yeah, he does it more than once.
It's something he does. This does feel like, aside from the ropey CGI still, this does feel like a scene from a Chucky movie.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, is initially it was the one that I was the most sceptical about, but I got convinced because it was kind of like an homage to what Chucky had already done. So again, some thought had been put into it, more so than had in Mama. And what I like is it's this one, maybe not to the same extent, but it does change the plot of the film like the Psycho one did. So it does feel like, for me at least, the Drag Me to Hell and the Psycho were well thought out, fun little bits. The Purge and Mama were just, we've got these franchises, let's do something cheap. And I think that's why I prefer Psycho and Drag Me to Hell over Mama and The Purge. Would you say you have a similar opinion, or?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It feels like a very random 4 films to choose from.
Yes, and with just the names, they all felt random. But having watched them, I now only think that The Purge and Mama were random, whereas Psycho and Drag Me to Hell had a bit more thought behind them.
Yeah, I really wonder who initiated this, and then what was the, Universal gave them a box full of movies. Like, what choices did they get?
But yeah, overall, I do think I really quite enjoyed these Invades videos. You can get over the fact that they're cheap and almost embrace that as a nod to the Chucky franchise not having much budget at that time, and you can kind of be okay with that. And yeah, I really did enjoyed them. What do you think?
Yeah, it was a fascinating endeavor, whatever they were going for. Yeah, I'm glad they exist rather than they didn't.
And let's have a quick look at the behind the scenes as well. I've seen behind the scenes videos for Owl Kitty, and after watching behind the scenes on this, I was like, fucking hell, they've got the same setup as Owl Kitty. And the other thing that I was like, really? They highlighted that Curse of Chucky is a straight-to-DVD film. And is that something you want to do when that kind of film is kind of looked down on?
Yeah, it's strange. I guess this didn't really cost much to do. But I guess it's just a weird, it's like a weird alternative route of, we're not going to put your movie in cinemas, but you can do this weird campaign instead.
Yeah, but also what I mean is highlighting to the audience, this has never been at the cinema. It's a straight to DVD. It's probably shit.
True, but I mean, I guess this is for the sake of selling DVDs. You can't really hide that it's not in cinemas.
I suppose so. The other thing that I loved in this video was the puppeteer was making the same face as Chucky when he was manipulating his face with his hands. And I was like, I love this man. He is a method actor with a fucking puppet.
Yeah, it is. I like the behind the scenes footage because it does look good, but it's the final step. It's putting him in the scenes where it really fails. And because of that, it makes the whole thing look terrible. But it's an interesting idea, and it could have been done better in the final result. Although I will say, I remember when we did Curse, and I remember when I first watched Curse, people said that they didn't like it because Chucky looked very different and very ugly. And he does look different in Curse, but I felt it's not that different. You know, it's fine. I don't remember him looking this weird. Because he looks so different in these shorts. It reminded me of the Child's Play remake when they deliberately make Chucky do that really ugly face to scare the stepdad.
Yes.
It reminded me of that, the way the Chucky in this, his eyes contort, the animatronics, they contort it so extremely that you can see around his eyeball, you can see into his head. And that's something, I don't think you ever see that in the movie.
No, I don't think so. I wonder whether these were filmed first and there was some kind of like experimental Chucky dolls that they improved on before they filmed Cult.
Possibly, yeah. Because, I mean, it is a completely, I believe it is a new doll again in Cult. So I guess they just didn't have very long to work with this doll. It was kind of a one and done.
And the other thing that was in this, again, it was very short, the behind the scenes thing, but they at least showed you the step-by-step improvement of the quality of the superimposition. But for me, it just felt like maybe they needed another 3 or 4 runs to improve it more.
Yeah, it definitely felt like with the animatronics and the CGI and everything that it was just, we've got like a weekend to do this. Let's get it done.
Yeah. I mean, still, all in all, I'm really glad they exist, particularly Drag Me to Hell and Psycho.
And they do show, that's another fun thing as well. It's not just a doll. They actually use a kid, which they use in some of the movies and stuff, don't they? They have a little kid like standing up on the stepladder and stuff. So for whatever time and budget they were given, they really did make the most of it.
Yeah. And again, in a similar theme to Vacation Slides, these are like a minute and a half each. If you're a Chucky fan, do check them out because they are great fun. A wonderful little odd snapshot of an odd marketing campaign for an odd film.
Yeah, they are all easily things that you could miss. Even if you like these movies, you know, it's just, there's a difference between just putting, these days, you're probably just putting it on Netflix and you're not getting any of this extra stuff.
Should we move on to Chucky versus Michael Myers?
Yeah, so this is similar. This was done recently. This was during... it would have been for it's for Halloween Kills, but it would have been, that came out on during October. So this was maybe just before the Chucky TV series started.
Yeah, certainly around the same time, because wasn't it the 3rd or 4th episode that was the Halloween special episode where he was dressed as Hello Kitty?
Yeah.
I think either it had just launched the telly show or it was part of a dual campaign for Halloween and the launch of the Chucky TV show. So it is incredibly recent and there is a huge step in quality compared to Chucky Invades and Chucky Vacation Slides. So it doesn't feel like a fair comparison. You know, it's 10 years on basically. And it was more timely than Invades, whereas they just got 4 franchises and picked them and put Chucky on top of it. This one at least felt like a well thought out marketing campaign.
And it's different from the others. It's a very weird but fun original idea, rather than them just trying to put Chucky into Halloween Kills, which I wouldn't be against. I'd see how they could do that.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? They don't meet. It is a promo for both the telly show and for Halloween Kills, but they don't meet. And I would love a Chucky Halloween crossover.
Yeah, they always say, like, oh, Michael Myers is too serious for that. But I mean, come on, Halloween Kills was ridiculous. It's not too far out of the realm of having Chucky.
I think if it makes money and they think it would make money, that's when you'll see it. I mean, we saw Freddy versus Jason for the simple reason they realised it would make money. Whereas I don't know whether Chucky versus Michael Myers would make money.
It would probably make some money. I mean, if it was absolute dog shit, it would probably stop making money. But then I think, ironically, Halloween Kills got very divisive reviews, and I think that still made money.
I think it would also suffer the problem that Freddy versus Jason did, which was everybody who liked Freddy felt like he should have won, and vice versa. And only one of them can win, and unfortunately, they made the wrong choice.
Well, they directed that in such a way where both of them kind of get away with it. It's absolutely not an end to either franchise, is it?
No, but I do feel like Freddy should have looked stronger. But that's also just my bias, isn't it?
I'm just booking this fight. Yeah, I think it probably would have gone the same way with Chucky versus Michael. Michael would have probably fallen out of a goddamn window like he always does, and Chucky would have taken the way of Freddy, where he got blown up. Because you can shoot Michael a few times and him get away with surviving. Chucky, you can annihilate and feel safe that he's going to come back somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I would argue, particularly at this time when the teleseries hadn't become, the phenomenon that got reviewed, great rave reviews, the LGBT community loved it. I think this was a much better deal for Chucky than it was for Halloween at the time.
Yeah, it definitely... I mean, he got more to do with it. We haven't even described it. Yeah, the actual advert is Chucky carving a pumpkin, and it's a really, really detailed carving of Michael Myers. And then Michael Myers walks in, stabs the pumpkin, and that's it. Michael Myers doesn't have much to do.
No, and what I will say is, it again highlights how modern this is, because that style of pumpkin carving, that design, is quite new. That didn't happen when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Whereas that's quite a fashionable thing to do. It's kind of much more artistic kind of levels above than just cutting out a squiggly mouth. And yeah, I didn't know that Chucky was quite so artistic.
Well, Tiffany taught him how to be artistic with his knife skills. And
that's true.
It fits Michael as well. He probably would just stab a pumpkin and call it a day.
Yeah. And I think it was fun, and I think it did both of them some good. But like I say, I think it was, at the time at least, definitely a better deal for Chucky, because Chucky was a telly show, let's be honest, and they don't have the level of prestige that a film does.
It was definitely unexpected. I remember that trailer it's like a teaser they put at the start of a Halloween trailer. But yeah, I remember that just coming out of nowhere. So it was a fun surprise.
Yeah, I really liked it at the time, and I still really like it now. So, Dev, I've had a lovely time chatting this. I love these weirdy episodes of CHUCKYVISION. The comics one was great. I can't wait to do more comics. But we've got other stuff that we're looking at, and we're quite close to Series 2 now.
They just started production. They will have been in production when this comes out. So it'll probably be a while until we see any footage, like teasers or trailers, but footage is being filmed, so we'll be hearing details, and I don't know if we'll cover leaks and stuff. I don't know if I want to keep up with every little detail, but
I think maybe we should look at trailers when they...
Oh, definitely, yeah. Whatever Dawn and the gang release, they should be releasing stuff somewhat regularly from now on, which is nice.
Yeah, so we'll probably be continuing the monthly stuff, but throwing in emergency stuff if there's like a trailer drop or something that we want to cover, and do like cheeky little 20-minute, half-hour episodes on that, maybe.
Yeah, I remember from before season 1 came out, Jennifer Tilly put so much shit out on her Instagram that was like late in the season stuff. She was just taking so many behind-the-scenes photos. So maybe we'll get some clues again from her Instagram.
I love how naughty Jennifer Tilly is. Dear. Right, well, Dev, I've had a fun time. I hope you have too, mate.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I love these weird little oddities. And there are definitely more from Chucky.
Indeed. Where can people find you on the internet at the moment?
Well, you can find me over on Twitter at Absolute Travesty. What am I working on other than this? You can find me on Forever Friday, which is a Friday the 13th podcast, kind of like this. We talk about the weird minutiae within the Friday the 13th franchise. And if you like horror movies, if you go over my Twitter, it should be pinned, I am currently selling t-shirts. If you like Final Destination, if you like Final Fantasy, I've done a fun little mashup of those films on t-shirts. So give them a look if you're a fan of horror and Japanese RPGs.
Someone asked us for Chucky Vision t-shirts at one point, and I was like, can we get away with that, seeing as our logo essentially uses the Chucky font and the poster for the original film? So we didn't really do anything about that. But if people genuinely want t-shirts, maybe we could come up with something, even if it's like yours and my face dressed as Chucky or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if people are interested, I could definitely easily redesign that with original artwork.
Interesting. If you're looking for me, it's at MarkAdamsHC on Twitter. Seeing as this was a short episode, I'm not going to go massively into all my podcastery. Just, yeah, you've heard it all before. And if you're interested in looking at what I do for a living, you can go to humanist.org.uk/Mark Adams and maybe book me as your celebrant. I promise I won't say fuck if I do your wedding. I just say fuck on my podcasts. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Chucky Vision. And until next time, wanna play? Chucky Vision is a podcast brought to you by the We Made This network. Follow us on Twitter at CHUCKYVISION. Follow the network on Twitter at WMT_network. Our website is WeMadeThisNetwork.com. The logo was designed by Dev, and the theme tune composed by Dark Fantasy Studios. Wanna play?
Elsewhere on We Made This.
Make It So, a Star Trek Picard podcast.
Why? Why do you even need to bring that up? You don't. We've done a story, and you're just using that for the. Oh, God! No, it's like, no. I don't get it. I understand it. I understand Soongs. Soongs are always going to be in some way related to the Kang story because of genetics and the stuff like that they've done. I get it, but to do that, and if it comes in season 3, if it's a main thing in season 3, then I'll hold judgment. If it doesn't get mentioned in season 3, then what was the point?
Pick a disc.
Guardian reading lefty, which
Yeah, a bleeding heart is one of the phrases we use a lot here in the US. Like, he cares about the homeless. I'm sort of shifting into my Limbo impersonation. Oh, he wants to house the homeless. What is he, a communist? Like, that's not. Maybe a little, but he's concerned with this. He's concerned with climate change. He's concerned with poverty. He's concerned with just general treatment of your fellow human beings. Like, I'm sure he resents having been subjected to trauma in his own life, and that gives him a great deal of sympathy, which I think is a good quality.
Geek Polymath.
Third one, are the following names of hops, US space shuttles, or both?
Brilliant.
First one, Atlantis.
No, it's a US space shuttle, but is it a hop? I'm going to say it's just a US space shuttle.
Correct.
Good.
I didn't.
Have I got to get best of 3 again?
Yeah, I didn't know that was a space shuttle. Well, that's my poor knowledge. That is. Second one, Galaxy.
I know that's a hop. because I've seen it in a pub recently. I don't know if it's a space shuttle, so I'm going to say both.
Just a hop, that one.
Oh, damn it.
Next one, Endeavour.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.